Okay, we are back again with Jaap and Jaap Koppedrayer. This is part two, and we had an excellent conversation yesterday. We talked about a lot of different things. Today, we wanted to talk specifically about Yumi bow making, bamboo arrow making, and possibly, if we can get onto it, the fort dodge, the flight archery project that they've been running all these years. So, Kap, I'll let you start off. Maybe we talk about the bow making and what goes into the bow making, or whatever ideas you had about that.
Okay, well, hello everybody again. So for the bow making, I really have gone 95% into the natural materials, no more fiberglass or carbon for for decades now. And once you start working with bamboo, you quickly realize not every bamboo is the same. Mm-hmm. And also, what you start observing is, even though you have bamboo from the same species, not every pole is the same.
Right.
And through later conversations with Sensei, we start, he would talk about certain qualities of bamboo, the muscle bamboo or bone bamboo or skin, things like that. Likewise, there's certain characteristics of the human being. We all look alike, we all have the same, but we're not the same. We have different qualities in our.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
Physics.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, when it's customized orders, one would match those qualities to the materials one use. And I also believe in the wood. There are certain qualities in the wood also. So
are there preferred characteristics to look for in bamboo, or it depends on what the bow will be used for, or on other things? Or is there, for example, 3 or 4 particular characteristics that you always look for good bamboo?
Always look for clean bamboo. What I mean by that is no wormholes, no fungus, a healthy piece. Now, you harvest the bamboo. So I harvest. I quickly learned I couldn't do the same thing as what I did in Canada. Mm. So in Georgia, I had to leave the bamboo in a pole form for a year, sometimes 2 years or longer. And even why? Because if I would split it, I would split the bamboo too early. In Georgia, I would get a lot of fungus in molds into the bamboo. It just looks very bad on the inside of the bamboo.
Right.
What I discovered is it gets black on the inside of the bamboo. So that would be the outside liquid skin. The inside of the bamboo would get black, like a black film in there. And that's what all it was. The fungus would get just on that skin part from the inner side of the bamboo. But it looks bad, especially for reselling. So I quickly learned I'll leave it dry in a pole. And some of the poles, I have for 10 years, I split them and they come out clean like this. Mm-hmm. However, if you read, and this is an interesting anecdote on bamboo. In Justin's book, The Chinese Archery, Justin Ma's book.
Yep.
There's a quote from the wife of a bow maker in there. And she talked about how the bamboo selects itself. And indeed, I've seen it myself.
Really?
So I can have a whole row of bamboo laying, on a rafter. And certain bamboos will shrivel up. That's a sign that the bamboo is cut too young. Uh-huh. But also certain bamboo would get worms.
Right.
Insects. And it can be a bamboo pole right next to it. It will never get it.
Uh-huh.
And you can have that for years. It will never get any of those pests.
Yeah.
And that bamboo is it's superior in qualities.
Yeah.
And those qualities I think are loose from the qualities of the the types are like the characteristic of bone or skin. Those qualities that are not better or worse. They're just the type of bamboo
Yeah.
we have, like the type of person we have.
When you harvest the bamboo, do you cut it right at the root, or is it a certain point further up? And do you cut it straight or at an angle? Is there anything?
I cut it as close as possible to the ground level. That's for preserving a healthy plant. If you leave first, and also if you leave little stops in there, you start walking a year later, you trip over it. It can be quite dangerous. So I cut it as low as possible.
Okay.
That keeps the bamboo plants very healthy. And then I use a measuring stick. So for the yumi, the bamboo, the Japanese bow, there are certain specific measurements.
Okay.
And of course, the back of the bow have 7 notes, placements of notes. Those parts. There's a note. There'll be 7 on the back and 6 on the belly, and there's a certain distance between each note. So I have a measuring stick, and also certain widths of the pole. I don't take very wide poles for a yumi, and so
7 on the back, 6 on the belly is the rule. It's never going to be 8 and 6 or nothing like that. 7 and 6.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
For the standard yumis, that's 90% of the yumi.
Right.
And so then I measure, but since the poles can be 60 feet long, right?
Wow.
And the poles are that big around.
Yes, yes. So how do you get them to be like flat like that then?
Okay, well, the big poles, it's nearly impossible to split by hand. You can't split by hand if they're fresh, and I've done it for years. That's why my wrists are pretty tired. So I bought a big professional bamboo splitting machine from Taiwan.
Okay.
Weighs only about several thousand pounds. So
wow.
It's a big machine.
Wow.
And that machine, when I started up, in 10 minutes, I do more work than in 10 days.
Whoa, amazing.
Every time I use it, I'm just, why didn't I do this 30 years ago? It's a fantastic machine. Very simple. But basically, there is on one end of the machine, there's a knife. There's a big like pushes that pole right through the knife, and it's hard to explain, but people can look it up on websites.
Perhaps we were talking about one time we can do a conversation about the tools that you use, and maybe if you take pictures of your larger machinery or whatever you use, we can go through those pictures as well. That would be useful, perhaps.
That'd be a good idea. Now the narrow poles, what's basic for yumis, they're not that big around.
Yeah.
And it's a 4-way splitter, and by hand it's very easy. It's just like an apple core splitter.
Right.
It's a circle with a pointy knife in there with 2 handles. You can push it through there. Except when the poles get old, like I had to do here in Georgia, I preserved the pole form. It gets very hard and very stiff, so it gets quite tough to do by hand. So, and then the bamboo, you need to wash it and clean it. So after splitting, the bamboo poles, I make bundles of 10, tie them together, and I can unroll them like a curtain, lay them on a drying rack. But also they're cleaned, they're washed and cleaned. And then I put them on the roof, drying rack, and the sun will get that nice yellow color.
Yeah.
And once it's pure, nice yellow, I roll it up and put it away for another year or 2.
Right. So let me ask you: when you wash, is it just simply water? Do you have to use any type of natural chemicals or things like that to really clean clean it? Just water?
Yeah, just water, and I use a scrubby, you know, for doing dishes. That
Okay,
kind of, because you
right.
don't want something abrasive, aggressive, because the skin, you do
Uh-huh.
not want to damage the skin or
Okay,
scratch it,
you want to
because
keep it
it
smooth.
always will show up on the bamboo. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And then
Uh,
bamboo is waterproof, right? So when you split it, is it also waterproof on the inside?
no, no, it ain't.
Right.
It ain't. So when you put it in the bow, when you round it, you'll have that side there.
Mm.
It's not waterproof. So that
So
for
you only
people
wash the outside of
for
you only wash the outside of the bamboo, or and you don't want water on the inside, right? Or what?
yes, only the outside.
Right. Okay.
No. Well, you'll get it wet, but you're going to put it on a drying rack.
Yeah.
So and really aggressive. It will dry pretty quick.
Right.
Now another thing is a lot of bamboo from overseas. It's chemically bleached, and that's
Yeah.
for bow making is a no-no. You know,
Right.
for furniture making and flooring, you know, that's basically 99.9% of the bamboo is basically for that.
Mm-hmm.
But anything for bow making, it has to be done naturally.
Right.
Bleaching make the bamboo very brittle.
Uh-huh. Right. Okay. So it's just all it's a natural process of washing and drying, and then it's onto the next process, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then the next process, of course, will be, and that would be also with a video, how to make the inside of the bamboo flat for bow making. And
Yes.
now I use a knife. I use both. I have a huge belt sander, and but that's not advisable for people if they're not used to that kind of equipment. You know, I can make laminations on that huge belt sander
Yeah.
because I only done thousands, hundreds of thousands on them. You know,
Yeah.
but one tiny little mistake in a part of your finger is
It's gone.
so not advisable. Learn it the old way.
Yeah.
Learn it. I learned it in from Japan, you know, from Shibata Sensei with a knife.
Yeah.
It's a special knife, hand knife, to make it flat.
Right.
It's actually very easy to cut bamboo, especially from
Ah,
the inside.
right.
So when I do a workshop here, I don't want to dry knife.
Yeah. You want a nice
Plant your
sharp one.
bamboo on a work table and use a dry knife. Pull it. You know, first you jump over the node, go again and again until you have it flat, and then you can. Then you of course you have to taper the bamboo to make it thinner towards the end of the bow.
Right.
But you get anyone can get the hang of that quite easily.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Do you
then
have you over the years taken on any apprentices or had people that you have taught this knowledge to?
I have taught several people, and I've done workshops, apprenticeship in modern society or in Western society. We don't have it,
No,
and
that's right.
that's a very, very, very pity. In America, I think it's extremely difficult. Europe is a little bit easier because the the manners are differently in Europe, but America, won't work here.
Why do you think? Is it a culture thing? Is it the fact that it's just not in our in the history of the Westerners to have this kind of apprentice master type of thing? Is it only a Far Eastern practice?
Yeah. Now the West used to have it. You know, Europe, like Holland and Germany. Germany still have a lot of Switzerland. You know, they still have that kind of apprenticeship with craftspeople. You know, like machinery or a cabinet maker.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even the car makers. The thing is the the laws, the insurances, the healthcare system.
Yeah.
Works together with that. Here in America, there's not a healthcare system. So one mistake,
True. Yeah,
you know,
it's a problem.
you're out of your company. Your company's gone, your land is gone, your house is gone, everything's gone. So
Yeah, that's
you
true.
don't even want to think about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I asked a couple of people, I said to them, I'm going to be interviewing you and having a conversation, and if they wanted to send in any questions. So I thought if I can just put a couple of questions to you at the moment and we can continue.
Sure.
One question was, where do you recommend someone to buy a good Yumi bow? I mean, either, you know, worldwide or maybe in Europe. Is there anywhere?
Worldwide, yeah. So worldwide, I would advise there are only two in America. That's me and Don Szymanski. Don Szymanski started earlier than me. He's strictly Yumi and basically strictly Kudo. So for playing around, he might not want to sell you Yumi, but excellent craftsman. And then you got me. Then Japan, and of course Japan is a little bit more costly.
Sure.
But
nowhere in Europe?
There might
Nothing
be
in
some
Europe?
in Europe, but yeah, I think there is some in Europe. But as long as they're trained by Japanese or they're familiar with the Kudo and trained by Japanese masters, then it's okay with me. I mean, it's okay, of course always okay, but then I would trust them. But.
Yeah. Okay. One other question was, someone had a question about arrows, but I'm going to leave that for until we talk about arrows.
Sure.
Let's see. Okay. How many? So, you know, traditionally with this, if we take, for example, Adam Karpowitz, Turkish bows, composite bows, the number of layers, so maybe 3 layers there. So you have the horn, you have the wood and the sinew.
Yes.
How many layers are there to a Yumi bow, and like what are they made of? Apart from the bamboo, of course.
Yeah. So the 3 layers. So you have the outer bamboo. Then there's the core, which is a single unit. However, that unit when you look at the Yumi, that you think there are three layers: the outer bamboo, then a core, and the inner bamboo. However, the core, the inside of the Yumi, this is the colors. Can you see the differences?
Just if you can hold, if you bring it a little bit closer to the camera, maybe we can see. Yeah, okay, right, I can see. So are we looking at a side view, or we're looking
this
flat?
Is the side.
Right.
This is the side.
Yep.
And this is the inside of the back.
Yes.
Or the belly.
Okay.
Right? So the inside, you'll have a hardwood, and then there are many types of cores, but this one particular one has 4 strips of bamboo, very hardened bamboo, vertically turned, and glued between hardwoods. And
okay. What type of hardwoods do you use?
What kind of
hardwoods do you use?
Oh, I use. I try to use a brittle, lightweight hardwood. So there could be some of the tropical hardwoods. Domestically, there is not much we have in America what's lightweight. See, in Japan, they use hase. It's a type of a sumac, but you can't get it here in America. I look for mulberry. It's hard to obtain, so I basically use tropical hardwoods, or I use cherry, something lightweight, highly resilient.
Right.
If it's brittle, that's fine, because the bamboo, like sinew and horn, the bamboo will take care of the wood.
On the handle of the Yumi bow, is there anything extra put on, or is it still the same 3 layers all the way through?
Same 3 layers.
Right.
Same 3 layers. Sometimes that the grip. I'll show you this one. Sometimes that can you see? Oh, sometimes the grip is a little bit built up. That's just paper underneath the leather.
Okay.
A little layer of paper underneath the grip here.
Okay.
Now, I have this bow. This is a bow for competition shooting.
Really?
In temple shooting. And I tell you how difficult a bow to make this is. This bow is at the widest part is only 2.3 millimeters, 2 centimeters and 3 millimeters wide in the back.
Wow.
So very, very narrow. Belly, oops, it's stuck. The belly is even more narrower.
Right.
Belly would be, what's the grip? 1.5 centimeters.
Wow.
Think about it, such a long bow. And to get a stable shooting bow out of it. This is made by Sensa Shibata, you know.
How does what effect does that have, or how difficult is that to minimize hand shock when you have such a thin piece for the handle?
Okay, no Yumi will have hand shock.
Really?
If there's a hand shock in a Yumi, you don't have a Yumi.
Wow.
It's a totally in harmonics is totally neutral. You know, the waves, there is absolutely no shock whatsoever.
Amazing. Right.
But having such a narrow bow, if your technique is, you know, wobbly or a little bit off, like the Korean bow, extremely sensitive, the Korean horn bow, this type of Yumi would be extremely sensitive to whatever movement you do in your draw.
Right.
So can be dangerous if you're not familiar with it.
So in a way, you can have a good Yumi bow and it can tell if someone is a good archer or not, then, isn't it?
Oh yeah, you can hear it by the sound of the release, just the crispiness of that, the resilience of the sound. You know, the way like a guitar and a musical instrument.
Yes.
In fact, there are many stories in Japan about the sound of Yumi. They can hear the quality of the shooter, and indeed, you know, if you've been long enough around shooters, you can hear it.
Yeah.
Only with natural Yumi style. You know,
sure.
I'm not talking carbon or fiberglass.
Yeah. So are you saying that some Yumi bows were made out of carbon and fiberglass as well?
Yes, a lot of the other schools, which the majority of the Japanese archery, they prefer their beginner students to use carbon Yumis, Yumis made with carbon.
Yeah.
And then you know, when they advance, they go to bamboo Yumi.
Okay. Is that because they are just more resilient for beginners to use, and then as they develop, they should use a natural?
Because of the mistakes, if somebody makes drastic mistakes, that Yumi can break. However, I'm not 100% in agreement with that, because I've seen, you know, I've been to lots and lots of workshops with we call it first shot students, and I never seen anything happening with the Yumi. As long as there's people like myself or Don Simansku or Sensa Shibata or a very well established Kyudo practitioner with bamboo bows, I don't see the problem.
Yeah. Now the handle, again, I will keep comparing to Turkish bows because this is what I'm most familiar with. You know, the handle on a Turkish is very much like an egg shape, for example, or something like that, right? So it can kind of fit in your hand, but the Yumi is just straight, and it has a little bit of you know, wrapping on, but it's not made to fit the hand. Am I right or wrong? Or is there a certain way to hold it?
It's made to fit. You know, see this line? That fits right on the edge of the Yumi, and the pinky, I should hold. So that edge of your hand, the pinky first. The pinky controls the bow. Slowly. The pinky controls the bow. This one is loose. In the hand, like for instance, the Turkish flight shooting. Let me move a little bit here.
Yeah.
Turkish flight shooting. You know, they build that cloth, so the hand is like this.
Right.
On the Turkish bow. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, I can see. Yep.
So with the Japanese Yumi, this is called a tiger's mouth in the hand. You know, that's what
keeps the bow.
Pushes the bow. You push the bow out with that.
Right.
And that. So again, it's called Tenochi. Sensei, when I first met Sensei Shibata for judo,
Yeah.
he said, "You want to see my hands?"
Right.
Laughed. In the end, he said, 15 years. I had no idea what he was talking about.
Wow.
But
Wow.
anyway, what he meant was it would take me that long to get the bow to turn in my hand.
Wow.
Because it has to turn naturally.
I see.
Yes, I very often see it. People, they make that little flick with the wrist. Oh, so fast. And oh, but if you watch it, you can see it.
Mm.
So that bow turns by itself. And
Wow.
this is the same thing right now with the horn bows. It's everybody talks about katra.
Katra,
It's the
yes.
same thing.
Right.
It's forced. So
Yes.
if you
Right.
force the human to turn, you don't have the same quality.
I see.
It's almost mystical, but
Amazing. So again, I mean, I think this spans all eras and types of archery. It's so important to be relaxed to such a degree that you must let the bow do the work as well. It's not just the archer. It's a teamwork of the archer and the bow coming together.
Definitely.
Right.
So it's the bow hand and the pulling hand. It's like a marriage,
Yes.
equal.
Right.
In the Japanese arts, of course, the pushing is stronger, but this one, the pulling hand holds it all under control with even pressure.
Right.
And if everything is balanced, everything is perfect, you get a beautiful release.
Wow.
And it's not only Japanese archery. Pretty soon, that book will be out from biography from Harry Drake. Harry Drake, the famous flight shooter.
Yes.
He talked about the balance of shooting. When his balance is off, he's holding the bow hand and his release. He's talking laminated flight bows, but of course they're very fine-tuned machines. He talks about if he's off, his shot will be off.
Yes.
You can't get the distance. So any type of archery we do, it's critical, it's important. And I think that's the magic of somehow unconsciously we can feel that bow is training us, it's training our spirit.
Sure, definitely.
To be a balanced person.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things I did want to ask you about maybe later stages, especially with the Japanese tradition, Kyudo, is the idea of meditation, of Zen, of reaching a higher spiritual level. Because, in the West, archery is just more of a sport, so some people, they take up archery and then they get bored and they try something else. But in the Far East and in more traditional cultures, archery is part of their life. It's part of their religion. Especially we can look at the Ottomans or the Islamic religion, the Buddhist religion, many different cultures, religion. Whether you like it or not, archery is part of your life, and it's your breathing and everything. So that really does interest me in terms of how important is archery in the Japanese culture, in Buddhism and things like that. The teachers you have, are they in religious wise, do they have to be Buddhist, or do they have to be a particular belief, or how does that work?
No, no, you don't have to. They're Buddhists, but you don't have to be Buddhist. You don't have to be Shinto. There's a lot of Shinto in archery, of course.
Shinto, yeah.
Excuse me. You don't have to be this or that.
Okay.
They more look at it's your personal quality, your personal spirit, your personal. When you enrich a person, the person becomes more balanced. Sensei always used to call cleaning the Kyudo, Japanese archery, Kyudo, it cleans you from the inside out. It polish your heart, it's polishing your heart quality. And I think you don't have to be any religion to do that.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So they never they never
they don't stipulate that you have to be a particular religion. Okay, all right. So that's good. I mean, they're quite open from that point of view.
Quite open.
Okay, so back to the bow making. What type of heat or cold application do you use for making the bow? And then also, what glue do you use, and where do you get the glue from?
Okay. Well, um, I use here in America. I'm using a glue it's specifically for for archery, and I use a smooth on. Now, smooth on, it's an epoxy glue, and I heat cure it. There are several ways you can use smooth on, but I use with the high heat on, and it becomes an rock solid bond, which
Mm-hmm.
if you apply any more heat, it will not break down. It won't come apart. That's for the modern bows. Now, of course, you can make Yumis with hide glue.
Hide glue. Yeah.
Twice as much work,
Oh, right.
twice
Of
as much
course.
the price.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've been fortunate to have been with the Shibata family. Every bow maker has its own unique recipe for the glues. And even though they call it croaker glue, it's not croaker.
Oh.
Um, anyway, it's an hide glue, and it's quite labor intensive. And yes, heat is involved with that, but
Mm.
not into well, let me first explain. To make Yumi, we don't use bow forms, right? And we use rope and wedges. So we put all the loose pieces of bamboo and wood together, and we we put rope about an inch apart, crosswise. And then
Okay.
we put wedges in, and I really have to show this somehow.
Yeah, yeah.
I have
If you get some pictures of it again, I can put them together and we can go through that.
I should have had a copy, but I don't. You use about 125, 130, 140 wedges per bow, right? So you put the wedges in bunch, and you can pull the curve in the bow. You can pull
Mm-hmm.
the curve into the bow and hammer the wedges tight. That curve will stay, and you
Mm.
continue. So you can set the complete reflex form into the bow.
Right. And that reflex form will stay
And that's
in the
it.
bamboo.
So you have to trust the. It will stay in the bamboo in the corner. Will stay. Yes. Once the glue
Right.
is dry, it will stay. Now hide glue. When you use hide glue, all the component in the hide glue is opposite of how we use for the horn bows. The hide glue in Japan, you want to have set up almost immediately. Unlike we use for
Oh.
for horn bow, you want to retard the setup time
Mm-hmm.
because you want to soak the sinew, you got to spread it, place it,
Yeah.
press and adjust it. So you really need a good 40 minutes to do that.
Mm-hmm.
In Japan, the hide glue, you don't. And, there are some books out there, they talk about the Japanese hide glue being junk. Well, it's totally opposite of usage. So again, you have to know the usage before you make an opinion about certain
Sure.
things. You have to know how
Yeah.
it's used. So all the components are covered with the hide glue. You put the piece together, put the wrap around it, then certain sections of the bow, let's say, depends what the nose file, there are 5 curves in a Yumi, right?
Mm-hmm.
So certain sections get heated up by steam,
Okay.
and again, it's the experience of the bow maker, not too much, not too little.
Yeah.
So it heats up, that glue becomes liquid, quickly expose it at the same time. So you set up both sides, this first bow again. The next section get heated up, and the wedge is already in there, get heated up, hammer it tight, set the curve, hammer it tight, etc., etc. So you get the
Right.
whole series done.
Right.
And then, 24 hours, 2 days, you let that hide glue really settle. And that's it. That's the only heat you use
Right. Okay.
for
Okay.
setting curvatures.
Now, an interesting kind of question just came to me now when you're talking about heat and things like that, because I saw a video a long time ago. It's on YouTube of a Korean bow maker, how they use a small a small like a heat source for their bow. I'm sure you've seen that video.
Plate.
Yeah, like a heat plate. Now, you know, their bows, Korean bows, are so small and so curved.
Yeah.
Where did, you know, Korea and Japan are not geographically very far apart. Where did the Yumi bow come from? The shape and the size. Why is it so long, whereas all of the other bows in that part of the world are so small?
I probably came from the original inhabitants of Japan. I think so.
Right.
The technique of rope and wedges, I think the Japanese were the ones who kept it.
Yes.
I have seen pictures from the late 19th century from somewhere in Siberia, where again also the tribal people were using rope and wedges.
Yeah.
And they did it. They used it. But otherwise, I see new reinventions of rope and wedges where they use two people to put a wedge in there, which just makes no sense at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's just an interpretation of they think how it works. But I think rope and wedges is old Stone Age technique. I think any culture from Egypt to whatever who used laminated furniture making and laminated, I think they used rope and wedges.
Interesting.
And it's a very compact toolkit.
Yes.
You can move anywhere you want. That's all you need. You know, a hammer. In effect, you can use a stick if you want to, but you know, have a good tool to hammer the wedges in there, and you can fix a bow anywhere. But talking about this hot plate from the Korea to correct the curvature.
Yes.
Now we can do that with the Yumi too. Sometimes a Yumi needs a correction.
Okay. Yeah.
We also use a hot plate. So we slide the Yumi over a hot plate. We feel it. Now we use a heat gun. You know, we can use a heat gun because of modern times.
Yeah.
So I use a heat gun, and you heat a particular part of the bow, and you can either twist it sideways or you can put a little reflex or deflex. But usually it's sideways flitzing, twisting, or get a twist out of the bow.
Right.
You need to heat it up.
Right.
So we use that. That's the only times we use heat.
Yeah. Tell me about the tips. Now, again, you know, Turkish bows, they might use horn on the tips, on the seers, and they will use the sinew to reinforce because there's a lot of pressure on the ends. What do the ends, what do the tips of the Yumi bow look like? And do you put any other material on there? Maybe you can show us.
This wooden plate here.
Right. Yep.
That's glued onto the bamboo. That reinforces the tip, and then it's tied off with rattan. Now, in the olden days, the war bows, the real war bows, the whole bow is wrapped with a thread, like a fine, not always silk. You know, silk would be horrible, expensive, and in those days too. But it could be a hemp thread or a cotton thread. Okay. The whole bow is like a mummy, and then they use the urushi, the lacquer urushi. I'm used to. I'm not allergic to that. So the whole bow is reinforced that way, and those are the war bows. You can go through the water, through the lakes, to the ocean.
Wow, amazing.
Nothing will affect the bow.
Yeah. So once the bow is finished, you said you do lacquer the bow. You protect the bow to waterproof it.
Oh, those type of bows, the real expensive bows.
Okay.
Lacquer bows. Yeah.
And those can probably last a lifetime, maybe.
Oh yeah, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. I think I have. Oh yeah, and longer. Yeah.
They can probably outlast their owners.
They do. Family heirlooms. So here's throwing some arrows around. I don't know if you can see that. This is like a lacquer work.
Beautiful.
It's clear.
Yeah.
It's an old style.
So what are the rings on here? What is that on that limb?
Double backwards wrap. So you get little ribs, and then then it's built up with the lacquer again. It's like in Japan. I don't know the Japanese word. It's like water effect. You know, when you throw a stone in the water, you get the little ribs.
Ripple effect. Yeah.
that's what it reminds them of that.
Does that not affect
Still,
would that affect the weight of the overall bow or the performance of the limbs with all these?
yes, it does. Yes, it does. It makes the bow heavier.
Heavier and slow it
But
down.
it also changed the quality of the shooting. No, I don't think it slows down that much.
No? Oh, okay.
The Yumi is so different. It's hard to explain, but definitely the quality of the Yumi is the opposite. You know, like
Right.
a yin yang, it becomes a yang instead of a yin. You
Right.
know, the way the bow feels.
Yeah.
But you know, during warfare, of course, you know, those were powerful bows. You know, 100 plus pound bows.
Right.
The warriors, they're not interested of the bows going to shoot 800 meters or 750
Yeah.
meters. They want a bow that holds together, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And they can shoot a very heavy arrow long distance.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
will last, you know, through the
Yeah.
lakes on horseback and you know things
Sure.
like that.
Sure. Excellent. Unless there is anything else we haven't really covered, I thought maybe we move on to the arrows now. What do you think?
Okay. Go ahead.
So maybe I don't know, I'm sure you have some example of a long arrow there. You can show us the fletches and maybe go through the different parts and then explain how these are made as well.
Yeah. Well, I'm just doing a bamboo arrow, and this one is about 1 meter long.
1 meter, wow. But for Kudo, this is normal, right? Or not?
And 1 meter, you know, the guys normal. And like some special people, 110 centimeters, which it's hard to find bamboo shaft that Japanese arrows are not heavy. Even though the war arrows are not heavy. You can have a very heavy tip, of course. But
Yeah.
I was talking with a famous, very, very highly respected arrow making shop in Tokyo, Hasegawa. And Hasegawa sensei, I was always after flight arrows, and in fact, I got a set of flight arrows, beautiful. I'll never shoot them. He chastised me. Well, how come I don't shoot them? He said, "You should shoot them," but to me, they're my. That's what I'm working on. You know,
Right,
I look at them,
right.
so okay, I got a lot to learn still.
Yes. That's the standard.